My name is Nelly Oduor, and I work for the Kenya Forestry Research Institute, and I'm based at the National Forest Products Research Program, where I'm the program director. On top of that, I'm also managing a DUTH-SINO East African Bamboo Development Program that is being coordinated from INBAR, that's the International Bamboo and Rattan organization. And I've been the national project coordinator for the country. And this project is being run, it's been implemented actually Ethiopia, Uganda, and Kenya. We're grateful for the Dutch government and the Chinese government who are funding it. Since 2016, we are now actually on the second phase, which began in April. We're grateful for that support. And we've seen bamboo being a very interesting plant. And in Kenya, we only have one indigenous bamboo, and that's what we commonly call the highland bamboo. The highland bamboo is right now called Aldinia alpina. And this is found in altitudes of 2,300 meters above sea level up to about 3,300 meters above sea level. So it's mainly in our water towers. That's Mount Kenya, the Aberdares, Cherangani, the Mau Ranges, Mount Elgon. And if you know very well, those are areas that are under conservation areas, protected areas, the public areas which are under the Kenya Forest Service. In the early 80s, the president, late President Moi, he put a ban on exploiting bamboo, the natural bamboo. And that was to safeguard our water towers. And KEFRI, which was established in 1986, that is not to say research on forestry had not been done. It used to be done under agriculture. It's over 50 years before then. We had an interest on continuing with issues on bamboo. And what we realized that other than our indigenous bamboo, there are other bamboos that grow in lower altitudes. And KEFRI was able to import about 20 or so species to try them out in different agroecological regions. And this was because we saw the importance of bamboo. And also to safeguard our natural bamboo, which was being exploited slightly, mainly by the locals around there who would use it for fencing and firewood. And then for some, they were supporting horticultural industry in providing plant props. So what KEFRI did is that we tried out 20 species, which we got seeds and offsets, which were from either Asia or even Africa and India. And we've tried them out. And about 13 or so of them are doing pretty well in different agroecological areas, the coastal area, the lake region, the highlands, west of, the Rift Valley as well. They're doing pretty well. And that's what now we started doing.
I'm a scientist at Forestry. I'm also the executive director. I'm based in the region, that is left to
And my name is Gordon Sigu. I'm also a research scientist with KEFRI. For a long time I've been based in Muguga. I had a short stint at the ministry, and then recently now I've been transferred to Maseno. Well, KEFRI has been undertaking research on bamboo for quite some time. And just to take you back, I think in the beginning, 1945, already there was a lot of interest developing on bamboo. And why so? It's because we were clearing areas that had naturally growing bamboo, especially in the highlands, and replacing some of those areas with tea, exotic plantations like cypress, pines, and there was interest in looking at the water use bamboo vis-a-vis tea, and even they introduced species like pines, cypresses, and the eucalypt. So studies started then, 1945. Of course, you could see way back in 1945, there was already a lot of interest on bamboo and looking at its importance in water, soil and water conservation. And then, of course, for a long time, people were using bamboo mainly for fencing. Fencing homesteads. In the city, especially Nairobi, posh homesteads then used bamboo as a fence. And then, of course, this moved on, and way back in 1986, there was a feeling that we were not harvesting whatever we were using sustainably, and of course, almost threatening the ecosystems where bamboo is growing. We have one local species of bamboo that is indigenous to this country. It's highland bamboo. The name has changed a lot. Initially, Arundinaria alpina, later Yushani alpina, the latest now Aldinia alpina. This is the indigenous bamboo that is growing in mainly the 5 main water towers of the country, talking of Mount Elgon, Mau Escarpment, the Mount Kenya, the Aberdare Ranges. It's the main local species. Most of these other species that you see around have been introduced. So because of that fear that this was not being harvested sustainably, there was an imposed ban, on harvesting bamboo, sometimes way back in 1986. Then, of course, people still wanted to use bamboo, and carefree now was challenged. And when we looked around, locally within the region and globally, we realized that there were other species of bamboo that could grow on lower elevations. The local species is limited in the range where it grows. It grows in high elevations, talking of 2,400 meters above sea level up to 3,000 plus. We realized that looking around within the region and globally, that there are other local species that could thrive even in lower elevations. So sometimes early 90s or late 80s, we teamed up with INBAR then was just being conceptualized. And then we teamed up with them through IDRC, and we were able to introduce about 22 different species. And these species we were testing across the region. We started right from the coast, the highland areas of Muguga, around Kinale also we did some trials. And then, of course, trials took us all the way to Penon, Kaptagat. And then, of course, here at Maseno, we tried a few species. And one farmer in Siaya, Tabeda, was able to give us a small piece of land. So we also did some testing of the species there, and also in Kakamega. So we, of course, then we were looking at which species can grow where. Out of the introduced species, 22 of them, we noticed that half of them performed very well in various ecological zones. And these are some of the species that we've been trying to promote. Then, of course, when we were doing this, there wasn't so much interest on bamboo, given that we were still fairly endowed with a lot of timber resources here and there, wood materials. But then, of course, this has been dwindling with time. So people have been exploring alternatives, and bamboo became fairly handy, given that its growth rate compared to trees, it grows fairly fast. And that has been the interest. Of course, when you are doing the production, parallel to that, we were also trying side by side to promote uses of bamboo. Unfortunately, generally in Africa, unlike Asian countries, China, India, people have a culture with bamboo in those countries. The Asians have a culture, and through that, they've been able to, develop uses, develop techniques for molding bamboo into products that are value added, which unfortunately is not same in Africa generally. And of course, we are talking of our country, Kenya. You could see, bamboo used for fencing. To the Asian community, just plating bamboo and using it as raw is not value adding. Actually, to them it's like a waste. And so far, of course, 1986, I've come up to early 90s. That's when we did the trials. The trials are there still, and we've been assessing them. And for now, of course, there are some species that we can recommend for various ecological zones with confidence. If, for example, one wanted to grow a particular species of bamboo in the drier region, we could, for example, recommend the lowland bamboo, Oxytanathera abyssinica, originally from Ethiopia, but it's also introduced here. If you wanted to go to higher elevations, obviously we would encourage you to grow Oldinia alpina, the local species of bamboo. There are other species like Bambusa vulgaris that grows in fairly wide ecological zones.
Okay, I'm Alice Adongo, a scientist in KEFRI, Rift Valley Corridor Research Program. We do research in forestry and other related natural resources, and this center has a strength in forest productivity and improvement, among other thematic areas. Bamboo has been one of our species we've been focusing on for forest-related products like furniture and hand tools, and it's been versatile. That's why we've really been encouraged to use its potential to cover for the gaps we have in forestry. So far, we've done research in site matching. We've managed to map them to know where they can really perform. We've done some research on propagation, on which one the best propagation method for the varied bamboo species. So the species we focused on is the vulgaris, Bambusa vulgaris, the alpine bamboo. That is the most native in Kenya. And if we could go further, we could go into now the micro propagation of bamboo. So we can upscale what we have to improve the productivity of this bamboo species, even the germplasm, to make sure we have enough germplasm for multiplication and expansion of this resource. The uptake of bamboo in the region, I can say it's been good, because we've used the GOK funds one time to train youth. We trained youth in Olenguruni. So far we've done over 20 training for artisanry. We've also trained women and vulnerable people on nursery establishments for their own economic empowerment. Policy, now apart from supporting farmers, our major milestone is, as KEFRI, we managed to draft a bamboo policy last year, that is 2019. It is a major guide in plantation establishment of resource use bamboo. Like the entire thing has been covered in that policy, and we're also happy as an institute. Just recently, the president, through his cabinet, included bamboo as a scheduled crop. So bamboo has been featured in the Crop Act 2013.
My name is Victor Mwanga. I am the chairman of the Bamboo Association of Kenya. The Bamboo Association of Kenya is an association that brings together different players in the bamboo sector in Kenya. The bamboo value chain is a real long value chain because it starts from the point where you're looking at establishing the right species for bamboo in which region and at what objective of growing the bamboo. Then from there you go to the actual nursery establishment. From the nursery establishment you go to the planting, and then the management of the plantation, and then the harvesting, then post-harvesting activities, and then value addition in whatever place that you want to use your bamboo for. It could be for domestic use, it could be for a small cottage industry, or it could be for large manufacturing concerns. So the Bamboo Association of Kenya was registered in the year 2018 as an association through the State Law Department. But before that, a lot of farmers had come together under a coalition called the Kenya Bamboo Pioneers Network, which was basically a loose coalition of bamboo farmers bringing together farmers, nursery operators, small value addition workshops, and scholars and academicians. And we thought that it was important for us to have a legal entity that would be able to champion the cause of bamboo in this country. And so that is what metamorphosized from being a network into a full-fledged association registered by the State Law Office in Kenya. So we are here today, having been in operation for the last 2 years, just to look back and ask ourselves, what strides have we made since we were registered as an association? So just looking at what our main objective is. A lot of people in this country know bamboo, but what do they use bamboo for? And where is the bamboo available? Because today when you talk about bamboo in Kenya, it's mostly associated with the bamboo in the Aberdares, the bamboo in Mount Kenya, the bamboo in Cherangani, and so on and so forth. But when you look at the crop, and just so that we identify and know that bamboo has been in the lives of this country for generations, there are local names for bamboo. For instance, the Kikuyu call it Mirangi, the Luos call it Modi, the Kalenjins call it Tegat, the Luyas call it Bidundu. So that means that bamboo has been part and parcel of our life. And even we have a Swahili name for bamboo, Mianzi, which means that bamboo was at the coast at 0 meters above sea level, and bamboo was also in those many years ago predominant in very high altitude levels, like the 2,400, 2,500, 3,000 meters above sea levels in Mount Kenya, in Aberdares, in Cherangani, in Mount Elgon. So what does it tell us about this crop? It is a crop that has been entrenched in our tradition. We used it before, our forefathers used it, but because of land pressure and because of the ease of use of bamboo, the resource was actually used to a point where it no longer exists in some community, though the name does exist. So it is this, based on this, that we said, if this crop has been there with us, why is it taking a backstage? Unlike other crops that have come into this country, like sugarcane was introduced, like maize was introduced, like tea was introduced, coffee was introduced. What about this resource that we've had for all these years, and yet it doesn't get any recognition? So again, our main objective was to reintroduce bamboo back into our communities and into our culture, into our history, so that we can then look at what is it that we can do with bamboo.
I'm Karo Karaoke, and I'm a bamboo entrepreneur. I've been running Greenport for the last 6 years, since 2014, as a chief executive and co-founder. My history dates back. I've been a banker for more than 20 years and a social entrepreneur for the last 15 years. Firstly in the mortgage sector, and then now totally committed to bamboo. You know, actually bamboo happened on us. They talk about the story where bamboo grows on you, and before you know it, it's running in your veins. Our chairman, he's called Mr. Mundia, has young adult children, and these kids were not saving. So when they got their first jobs, he then encouraged them to have delayed gratification by planting a forest with him. And in that way, as a family, they could then get a lot more money after 10 years. And that time everybody was growing eucalyptus for KPLC. So then he realized that so many people would want to do good and make money at the same time. So that's how Greenport was born. So we started then buying large tracts of land and subdividing them as an investment opportunity. And it was so interesting because in the first 3 months, we sold 64 acres of bamboo forest. And it was shocking because, you know, how is it possible that people want to do that kind of investment? Everybody needs to diversify their investments. People wanted to secure their retirement. People wanted to get, you know, to pay their kids' college fees or high school fees. And that's how Greenport grew. But from the very beginning, we were very clear that we wanted to do this differently. I've grown up in a family where I was educated in Alliance Girls using the money from coffee. And today my mother has uprooted that coffee because it no longer makes financial sense. So from the beginning, we were very, very keen to make sure that we can see the whole value chain through, to ensure that we're growing the right seedlings. So we started Greenport nurseries to make sure that we have the right quality of seedlings to do the right quality of products at the end.
My name is Moonlightinitiative. I'm the Managing Director of Wasonyiro South Development Authority. And as you say, we have been actively for the last 3 years or so, been trying to restore the Mau forest. And part of what we have been doing is to restore it through bamboo. Today here we were having a meeting with Kenya Forest Services to see how we can advance the partnership that we've had with them. One, on restoration of the Mau forest, but also two, on bamboo propagation. So that is why we are here. The reason behind the whole issue of bamboo commercialization is to look at it from a value addition perspective. And that's why we are bringing farmers on board. Ultimately, our plan is to have or to establish a value addition center or a factory, if you would wish, to add value into the bamboos that we will have now planted around the Mau and had farmers come into it. So ultimately, what we want is to add value into bamboo through manufacturing of various items, tissues, furniture, all those kind of things. So at the end, farmers will take up this because they will know that at the end they would have something that will add value into this bamboo.